Listen carefully, because what I'm about to tell you will fundamentally change how you approach women forever. Right now, as you're watching this video, there are millions of men around the world making the same critical mistake that's destroying their chances with women before they even open their mouths. They're overthinking, overcomplicating, and completely missing the one simple truth that separates men who naturally attract women from those who struggle endlessly in the dating game. And here's the kicker. This truth has been hiding in plain sight all along, documented by the greatest minds in psychology, philosophy, and human behavior for centuries. You see, while other men are memorizing pickup lines, studying complex psychological techniques, or trying to become someone they're not, the most attractive men in the world are doing something so simple, so fundamentally basic, that it almost seems too obvious to work. But it does work. It works better than any technique, any strategy, any manipulation tactic you've ever heard of. And by the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly what this is and how to implement it immediately into your life. The brutal reality is that most men have been conditioned to believe that attraction is complicated. They think they need to learn dozens of techniques, memorize hundreds of conversation starters, or transform themselves into some idealized version of masculinity. The pickup artist industry has made billions selling men the lie that attraction is a complex game with secret rules and hidden codes. But what if I told you that the opposite is true? What if the simplest approach is actually the most powerful? Here's what I discovered after years of studying human psychology, evolutionary biology, and the principles of Stoic philosophy. Attraction isn't about what you do to women. It's about who you become as a man. It's not about external techniques or manipulation tactics. It's about developing an internal foundation so solid, so unshakable, that attraction becomes a natural byproduct of your presence. This is the simplest way to attract a woman, and it's been right in front of us all along. The ancient Stoics understood something about human nature that modern men have forgotten. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations that, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking." This isn't just philosophical wisdom, it's the key to natural attraction. When you develop genuine self-mastery, when you become truly comfortable in your own skin, when you stop seeking validation from others and start living from a place of authentic confidence, you become magnetically attractive without trying. But let's get specific about what this actually means in practice. The simplest way to attract a woman isn't through clever words or strategic moves. It's through presence. Real, authentic, unshakable presence. When you're truly present with a woman, not thinking about what to say next, not worried about the outcome, not performing some character you think she wants to see, you create a space of genuine connection that most men never provide. Think about it this way. In our hyper-connected, constantly distracted world, genuine presence has become incredibly rare. Most people, men and women alike, are living in their heads, constantly planning, worrying, or seeking the next hit of dopamine from their phones. When you show up as a man who is completely here, completely engaged, completely present in the moment, you're offering something that's become precious precisely because it's so scarce. This presence isn't something you fake or perform. It's something you develop through deliberate practice and inner work. It starts with developing what the Stoics called premeditatio malorum, the practice of mental preparation for challenges. When you've mentally prepared for rejection, when you've accepted that not every woman will be attracted to you, when you've released your attachment to specific outcomes, you free yourself to be genuinely present in each interaction. The paradox of attraction is that the less you need it, the more naturally it flows to you. When you're not desperately seeking validation from women, when you're not trying to prove your worth through their approval, when you're simply being yourself without agenda or expectation, you become incredibly attractive. This isn't pickup artist theory. This is basic human psychology backed by decades of research. Dr. Robert Cialdini's research on influence and persuasion reveals that authenticity is one of the most powerful tools for creating genuine connection. When people sense that you're being real, that you're not putting on an act or trying to manipulate them, they naturally feel safer and more drawn to you. Women, in particular, have highly developed social intuition. They can sense when a man is being genuine versus when he's running some kind of game or technique. So what does this authentic presence look like in real interactions? It's surprisingly simple. It means listening more than you talk. It means asking questions because you're genuinely curious about her as a person, not because you're following some conversational strategy. It means sharing your own thoughts and feelings honestly, without trying to create a particular impression. It means being comfortable with silence, with pauses in conversation, with the natural ebb and flow of human interaction. Most men are terrified of these silences. They feel compelled to fill every gap in conversation with words, as if silence equals failure. But confident, attractive men understand that comfortable silence is actually a sign of deep connection. When two people can be quiet together without awkwardness, it indicates a level of mutual comfort and attraction that forced conversation can never achieve. This brings us to another crucial element of the simplest approach to attraction: outcome independence. This is a concept that's been discussed in various forms throughout philosophy and psychology, but it's particularly relevant in the context of attraction. Outcome independence means that while you're engaging with a woman, you're not attached to any particular result. You're not thinking about whether she'll give you her number, whether she'll go on a date with you, whether she'll sleep with you. You're simply enjoying the interaction for what it is in the present moment. This might sound counterintuitive. After all, if you're not focused on results, how can you expect to get them? But here's the thing. Attachment to outcomes creates pressure, and pressure kills attraction. When a woman senses that you need something from her, that her response will affect your self-worth or emotional state, it immediately changes the dynamic of the interaction. She goes from being able to enjoy your company to feeling responsible for managing your feelings. Outcome independence, on the other hand, creates a space of freedom. When a woman knows that she can be herself without having to worry about disappointing you or living up to your expectations, she can relax and actually experience attraction. This is why the most attractive men often seem somewhat indifferent to whether a particular woman likes them or not. It's not that they don't care about women, it's that their self-worth doesn't depend on any one woman's approval. Developing this outcome independence requires deep inner work. It means building your self-esteem on solid foundations: your character, your values, your personal growth, your contributions to the world, rather than on external validation. The Stoics were masters of this principle. Epictetus taught that we should focus only on what we can control and accept what we cannot. You can control your actions, your words, your effort, your character. You cannot control how others respond to you. When you truly internalize this principle, it transforms not just your interactions with women, but your entire approach to life. You become more authentic because you're not constantly adjusting your behavior based on others' reactions. You become more confident because your confidence comes from within rather than from external validation. You become more attractive because you're offering a rare gift in our anxiety-driven world: the gift of your genuine, unshakable presence. But let's address the elephant in the room. Some men hear this advice and think, that sounds great in theory, but what about the practical aspects of attraction? What about physical appearance, status, wealth, all the things that obviously matter to women? These are valid concerns, and it's important to address them honestly. Yes, physical attraction matters. Yes, women are influenced by factors like a man's social status, financial stability, and physical fitness. But here's what most men don't understand. These factors matter far less than you think, and they're often proxies for the deeper qualities that truly create attraction. When a woman is attracted to a successful man, she's often not attracted to his money per se. She's attracted to the confidence, ambition, and masculine energy that success represents. When she's attracted to a physically fit man, she's not just responding to his appearance. She's responding to the discipline, self-respect, and vitality that fitness demonstrates. This is why you see men who aren't conventionally handsome or wealthy still attracting beautiful, amazing women. They've developed the inner qualities that these external markers typically represent. They have genuine confidence that doesn't need constant validation. They have purpose and direction in their lives. They have the emotional stability to be truly present with others. They have the self-respect to maintain their standards and boundaries. The simplest way to attract a woman, therefore, is to develop these core qualities authentically rather than trying to fake the external markers. Work on your physical fitness not because you think women only care about appearance, but because taking care of your body demonstrates self-respect and creates genuine confidence. Pursue success in your career or business, not to impress women, but because having purpose and direction makes you a more interesting, fulfilled person. Develop your social skills not as manipulation tactics, but as genuine tools for connecting with and understanding other people. This approach takes longer than memorizing pickup lines or learning psychological tricks, but it creates lasting results. When your attractiveness comes from genuine personal development rather than learned techniques, it's sustainable. You don't have to remember what character you're supposed to be playing or what strategy you're supposed to be implementing. You can simply be yourself, and that self is genuinely attractive. Let's talk about conversation, because this is where many men get tripped up. They think they need to be witty, charming, or entertaining at all times. They memorize interesting stories and clever responses. They study conversation topics and practice their delivery. But the simplest approach to conversation is much more straightforward. Be genuinely interested in the other person. Most people, including most women, spend their days surrounded by people who are primarily focused on themselves. Everyone is thinking about their own problems, their own goals, their own concerns. When you show up as someone who is genuinely curious about who she is, what she thinks, what she's passionate about, you immediately stand out. This isn't a technique, it's a fundamental shift in how you approach human interaction. Ask questions not because you've learned that questions create engagement, but because you're genuinely curious about the answers. Listen to her responses not because you're waiting for your turn to talk, but because you find her perspective interesting. Share your own thoughts and experiences not because you're trying to impress her, but because authentic sharing creates authentic connection. This kind of conversation flows naturally when you're truly present and genuinely interested. You don't need to plan what to say next because the conversation develops organically based on what she shares with you. You don't need to worry about awkward silences because you're comfortable with whatever unfolds. You don't need to perform or entertain because you're offering something much more valuable, genuine human connection. The emotional component of attraction is also crucial to understand. Women are generally more emotionally intelligent and emotionally aware than men. They're often seeking emotional connection and emotional stimulation in their interactions. This doesn't mean you need to be overly emotional or dramatic. It means you need to be emotionally present and emotionally honest. Share what you're actually feeling, not what you think you should be feeling. If you're nervous, you can acknowledge it with a smile rather than trying to hide it. If you're excited about something in your life, let that enthusiasm come through naturally. If you're feeling peaceful and content, allow that energy to permeate the interaction. Emotional authenticity is incredibly attractive because it's rare and because it creates space for genuine connection. Many men have been conditioned to suppress their emotions or to view emotional expression as weakness. But emotional intelligence and emotional authenticity are actually signs of strength and maturity. A man who is comfortable with his own emotions and can navigate emotional territory skillfully is incredibly attractive to women who are seeking depth and genuine connection. This brings us to the topic of vulnerability, which is often misunderstood in discussions about attraction. Some men think vulnerability means oversharing or emotional neediness. Others think it means weakness or a lack of masculine strength. But true vulnerability is actually a sign of incredible strength and confidence. It's the willingness to be seen as you truly are, without masks or pretenses. Vulnerability in the context of attraction might mean admitting when you don't know something instead of pretending to have all the answers. It might mean sharing a genuine struggle or challenge you're facing rather than trying to present a perfect image. It might mean expressing genuine appreciation or affection when you feel it, even if there's a risk of it not being reciprocated. This kind of vulnerability creates intimacy and connection in ways that superficial charm or pickup techniques never can. When you're willing to be real with someone, you invite them to be real with you. This mutual authenticity is the foundation of all meaningful relationships, whether romantic or otherwise. The role of masculine energy in attraction cannot be ignored, but it's often misunderstood. True masculine energy isn't about domination, aggression, or emotional unavailability. It's about direction, purpose, and the ability to remain centered in the face of emotional turbulence. It's about taking responsibility for your own life and emotions while creating a sense of safety and stability for others. Women are naturally drawn to men who embody healthy masculine energy because it complements their own feminine energy. This isn't about gender stereotypes or traditional roles. It's about complementary energies that create natural attraction and harmony. When you develop genuine masculine presence, the ability to remain calm under pressure, to make decisions when needed, To provide emotional stability and direction, you become naturally attractive to women who appreciate these qualities. But this masculine energy must be balanced with emotional intelligence, empathy, and genuine care for others. The most attractive men combine masculine strength with emotional sophistication. They can be strong and gentle, confident and humble, directed and flexible. This balance is what creates the kind of magnetic presence that attracts not just women, but all people who appreciate authentic human excellence. Physical presence and body language play a crucial role in the simplest approach to attraction, but not in the way most men think. It's not about adopting particular poses or gestures designed to appear confident. It's about allowing your inner state of genuine confidence and presence to express itself naturally through your body. When you're truly comfortable in your own skin, when you've accepted yourself as you are while continuing to grow and improve, when you're not constantly seeking approval or fearing rejection, your body language naturally reflects this inner state. You stand taller not because you're trying to appear confident, but because you feel confident. You make eye contact not because you've learned it's a technique, but because you're genuinely engaged with the person you're talking to. You move with ease and purpose not because you're performing confidence, but because you're experiencing it. This natural body language is far more attractive than any pose or gesture you could learn because it's authentic. Women can sense the difference between someone who is genuinely comfortable in their own skin and someone who is performing confidence. The performance creates a subtle sense of incongruence that undermines attraction, while genuine presence creates a magnetic field that draws people in. Touch, when appropriate and consensual, is another aspect of physical presence that can enhance attraction. But again, the simplest approach is the most effective. Light, appropriate touch that occurs naturally during conversation. A brief touch on the arm while making a point. A hand on the back while navigating through a crowd. A gentle touch while laughing at something funny. Can create connection when it comes from a place of genuine warmth rather than calculated strategy. The key is that any physical contact should feel natural and appropriate to both people involved. This requires social intelligence and the ability to read nonverbal cues. If someone seems uncomfortable with touch, respect that boundary immediately. If touch is welcomed and reciprocated, it can enhance the connection you're building through conversation and presence. Now let's address one of the biggest obstacles to natural attraction: the fear of rejection. This fear causes men to overthink, overanalyze, and ultimately sabotage their chances with women they're genuinely interested in. They become so focused on avoiding rejection that they never authentically express their interest, creating confusion and missed opportunities. The simplest approach to handling rejection is to reframe it entirely. Rejection isn't a judgment of your worth as a person. It's simply information that this particular woman isn't the right match for you at this particular time. There could be countless reasons for this that have nothing to do with you. She might be in a relationship, dealing with personal challenges, not looking to date anyone, or simply not feeling a connection for reasons that are entirely about her own preferences and circumstances. When you understand that rejection is not personal, you can approach interactions with women from a place of curiosity rather than neediness. Instead of desperately hoping she'll like you, you can be genuinely curious about whether you two are compatible. This shift in perspective changes everything about how you show up in these interactions. You make eye contact not because you've learned it's a technique, but because you're genuinely engaged with the person you're talking to. You move with ease and purpose, not because you're performing confidence, but because you're experiencing it. This natural body language is far more attractive than any pose or gesture you could learn because it's authentic. Women can sense the difference between someone who is genuinely comfortable in their own skin and someone who is performing confidence. The performance creates a subtle sense of incongruence that undermines attraction, while genuine presence creates a magnetic field that draws people in. Touch, when appropriate and consensual, is another aspect of physical presence that can enhance attraction. But again, the simplest approach is the most effective. Light, appropriate touch that occurs naturally during conversation. A brief touch on the arm while making a point. A hand on the back while navigating through a crowd. A gentle touch while laughing at something funny. Can create connection when it comes from a place of genuine warmth rather than calculated strategy. The key is that any physical contact should feel natural and appropriate to both people involved. This requires social intelligence and the ability to read nonverbal cues. If someone seems uncomfortable with touch, respect that boundary immediately. If touch is welcomed and reciprocated, it can enhance the connection you're building through conversation and presence. Now, let's address one of the biggest obstacles to natural attraction: the fear of rejection. This fear causes men to overthink, overanalyze, and ultimately sabotage their chances with women they're genuinely interested in. They become so focused on avoiding rejection that they never authentically express their interest, creating confusion and missed opportunities. The simplest approach to handling rejection is to reframe it entirely. Rejection isn't a judgment of your worth as a person. It's simply information that this particular woman isn't the right match for you at this particular time. There could be countless reasons for this that have nothing to do with you. She might be in a relationship, dealing with personal challenges, not looking to date anyone, or simply not feeling a connection for reasons that are entirely about her own preferences and circumstances. When you understand that rejection is not personal, you can approach interactions with women from a place of curiosity rather than neediness. Instead of desperately hoping she'll like you, you can be genuinely curious about whether you two are compatible. This shift in perspective changes everything about how you show up in these interactions. The Stoic philosophers had a powerful framework for dealing with potential rejection. They practiced negative visualization, imagining challenges and setbacks so they could prepare mentally for them. Applied to dating and attraction, this means mentally preparing for the possibility of rejection while taking action anyway. When you've already accepted that rejection is a normal part of human interaction and doesn't reflect your worth, you're free to be authentic in your approach. This mental preparation allows you to take appropriate risks in expressing your interest. Instead of hoping a woman will somehow magically know you're interested without you having to say anything, you can communicate your interest directly and honestly. Instead of trying to be friends first and hoping romantic feelings will develop, you can be clear about your romantic interest from the beginning. This clarity is attractive and respectful, even if the interest isn't reciprocated. The concept of standards is crucial in the simplest approach to attraction. Many men think that having standards will limit their options with women, so they try to be attracted to every woman they meet and accept any level of treatment. But having genuine standards, knowing what you value in a partner and what kind of relationship you want, is actually highly attractive. When you have clear standards, you naturally become more selective in who you pursue. This selectivity is attractive because it communicates that your attention and affection have value. A woman who knows that you could choose to spend time with other people but are choosing to spend time with her feels valued and special. Having standards also means maintaining your boundaries and not compromising your values to please someone else. This might mean being willing to walk away from situations that don't align with what you're looking for. It might mean being honest about your needs and expectations in a relationship. It might mean refusing to accept disrespectful treatment, even from someone you're attracted to. This kind of self-respect is incredibly attractive because it demonstrates that you value yourself appropriately. Women are naturally drawn to men who have healthy self-respect because it indicates emotional maturity and the ability to maintain healthy relationships. The role of purpose and passion in attraction cannot be overstated. Men who are passionate about something beyond dating and relationships are incredibly attractive to women. This passion could be for a career, a hobby, a cause, an art form, or any area of life that genuinely engages and excites you. When you have genuine passion and purpose in your life, it creates several attractive qualities simultaneously. First, it makes you more interesting because you have something meaningful to talk about and share. Second, it demonstrates that you're not dependent on relationships for your happiness and fulfillment. Third, it shows that you're capable of dedication and excellence. Fourth, it creates positive energy and enthusiasm that are naturally magnetic. Many men make the mistake of putting dating and relationships at the center of their lives, which ironically makes them less attractive to the women they're trying to attract. When your life revolves around finding a woman, it creates pressure and neediness that repel rather than attract. When your life is full of meaningful activities and relationships, and romantic connection is just one aspect of a rich, fulfilling existence, you become much more attractive. This doesn't mean you should ignore dating or pretend you don't want romantic connection. It means building a life that you genuinely love and enjoy, with or without a romantic partner. When someone becomes part of your already fulfilling life rather than the key to your happiness, the dynamic is much healthier and more attractive. The importance of emotional regulation in attraction is often overlooked, but it's fundamental to the simplest approach. Emotional regulation means having the ability to experience your emotions fully without being controlled by them. It means you can feel nervous without acting nervous, feel excited without being overwhelming, feel disappointed without becoming bitter or resentful. Women are naturally attracted to men who have emotional stability because it creates a sense of safety and security. If you're prone to emotional outbursts, dramatic mood swings, or emotional manipulation when things don't go your way, it signals that you might not be ready for a healthy relationship. Developing emotional regulation requires practice and self-awareness. It means learning to pause between feeling an emotion and reacting to it. It means developing healthy coping mechanisms for stress, disappointment, and frustration. It means taking responsibility for your emotional state rather than expecting others to manage it for you. This emotional stability allows you to remain present and authentic even in challenging situations. If a conversation isn't going the way you hoped, you can adjust without becoming frustrated or resentful. If someone isn't interested in you romantically, you can accept it gracefully without taking it personally. If you're feeling nervous or excited, you can acknowledge these feelings without being overwhelmed by them. Social intelligence is another crucial component of natural attraction that often gets overlooked in favor of more dramatic pickup techniques. Social intelligence means understanding social dynamics, reading nonverbal communication, and knowing how to navigate different social situations appropriately. This includes understanding when someone is comfortable versus uncomfortable, when they're enjoying an interaction versus wanting it to end, when they're open to deeper conversation versus preferring to keep things light. It means knowing how to adjust your approach based on the context. How you interact at a professional networking event might be different from how you interact at a casual party or on a dating app. Social intelligence also includes understanding your own impact on others. Some men are so focused on their own experience that they don't notice how their behavior affects the people around them. They might stand too close, talk too loudly, dominate conversations, or miss obvious social cues that someone wants to end an interaction. Developing social intelligence requires paying attention to others and getting feedback from trusted friends about your social behavior. It requires being willing to adjust your approach based on the response you're getting, rather than stubbornly sticking to a predetermined strategy. The simplest way to attract a woman ultimately comes down to becoming the kind of man that you yourself would want to spend time with. This means developing genuine confidence, authentic presence, emotional intelligence, social skills, clear values, and a fulfilling life. It means working on yourself not to impress others, but because you value your own growth and development. When you approach attraction from this foundation of authentic self-development, everything else becomes much simpler. You don't need to remember complex techniques or strategies because you're simply being the best version of yourself. You don't need to fear rejection because your self-worth doesn't depend on any particular outcome. You don't need to perform or pretend because who you really are is genuinely attractive. This approach takes more time and effort than learning pickup lines or manipulation techniques, but it creates lasting results. The confidence you develop through genuine self-improvement is unshakable because it's based on real accomplishments and growth. The presence you cultivate through inner work is magnetic because it's authentic. The relationships you build through this approach are deeper and more fulfilling because they're based on genuine connection rather than illusion or manipulation. Remember, the goal isn't to attract every woman you meet, it's to attract the right woman for you. When you're being authentically yourself, you naturally repel people who aren't compatible with you and attract those who are. This saves everyone time and energy and increases the likelihood of finding genuine compatibility. The simplest way to attract a woman is to become a man who is genuinely worth being attracted to. Focus on developing your character, your emotional intelligence, your social skills, your passions, and your life purpose. Approach women with genuine interest and respect rather than as targets to be conquered. Be present, be authentic, be confident in who you are while remaining open to growth and learning. This path requires patience, dedication, and courage, but it leads to the kind of attraction and relationships that are truly fulfilling. Instead of constantly wondering what technique to use or what character to play, you can simply be yourself and trust that the right person will appreciate who you are. This is not only the simplest way to attract a woman, it's the most effective, sustainable, and fulfilling approach to all human relationships.